Right. I'm really sorry, guys. I feel very disorganised. Can you hear me now, guys? Okay, hopefully you... Can you hear me now? Or shall I just do this as if I'm in a silent movie? A Castlevania mime stream, well, that would just involve me getting my ass kicked all the time, so... Hey Sabretooth Barnacle, hey Pixels at Dawn, Mix is good. Wow, only took me 10 minutes to get there, didn't it? Sorry guys, I'm not usually that all over the shop, but there you are. Yeah, so without further ado, let's get cracking. So I'm just going to make sure I've got enough lights on here. Yeah, that delay is a bit annoying, isn't it, Rob? But we're off and running now, so let me just flip you over. Okay. Okay, right. Do let me know how the levels are, guys. Hopefully it's going to be fine. Just going to go full screen here. So yeah, Castlevania remains one of my most favourite games of all time. It's frustrating as hell, but it's still an absolute classic that deserves some playback. I must admit, I thought there should be some audio at this particular stage. Is there not? I can hear the sound effects, but no actual... Is there not music at this stage? Let me just check this. Oh dear, is it all going to go wrong for me this evening? I can hear all the sound effects fine, but I don't seem to have any audio from... I seem to only have sound effects, which is really strange. Oh dear. You can't play Castlevania without the audio. Bear with. Yeah, so Castlevania remains one of my all-time favourite games. Very frustrating and so forth, but it remains an absolute classic. So hey there, Sanjin. Hope you're well. Things are going interestingly, shall we say, at the moment. I seem to have no music in Castlevania. I'm just trying to sort that out. I've got the sound effects, but... Huh. I seem to have got it back now. Is it going to work? How bizarre. I wonder what's going on there then to... Let's just... Just didn't seem to have any audio. How bizarre. Okay. Let's just completely die on this. Continue. The problem is that being the sort of... Is there a death pit that I can just get killed on here? Oh, this is just going to take forever. Are you getting interference? Yeah, there's... the audio on the game for some reason wasn't working, so I'm just basically gradually killing myself, which Actually, let's get up here. Because then I can get to the bit with the water and then I can just totally die. Come on, you're almost dead, Simon. This is so good, isn't it? Yeah. This is like how to play Castlevania badly streams. So, hey, Lobsterminator, I'm just busy killing myself on Castlevania because I'm this good. Basically, when I first started on the NES, there just didn't seem to be any music, and it came back after I died once. So, go figure. So I'm just basically making sure I'm completely dead, and hopefully we can actually get started. So, do let me know if there's any interference now that hopefully there is music. So. Okay, I've got music there, so I think we're good. There we go. We have definitely got music. So yeah, Castlevania is just one of those absolute classics. Obviously, there have been so many different variants of it over the years. The somewhat controversial Simon's Quest Castlevania 2. Let's see if I can get this right. Oh. If you jump over there, you can actually get a little bonus. But yeah, it's one of those games which requires quick reactions, and it's just sort of like the archetypal sort of SNES game, really. So, NES game. And I thought it would be fun tonight to actually take a bit of a look at the original classic with all of its sprite flicker. and then look at a couple of sometimes not very well-known ports of it on the Amiga and the C64. So yes, it's a bit of a tricky one to watch the stream and play this, because obviously it's one of those games that deserves your attention. This is one of those unusual early sort of NES games that for the sort of like your weapon that you're carrying, or the extra weapon or bonus weapon, whatever you want to call it, that you pick up, it actually requires you to push down and B to actually attack with it. It's a little bit unusual like that. So, and as you see there, there's usually some bonuses hidden away in the blocks. So it pays to give those a good whipping. So I shall have a look at the chat shortly, guys. So thanks for joining me this evening. I'm sorry it was a bit of a slow start, but we got there in the end. So it's this is a game that I have actually completed. Not this year yet, but I have completed it last year. So, and probably before that as well. But it's just one of my all-time favourite sort of action platformers, and the music in it is just brilliant, which is why I was so concerned about actually getting that to work. So yeah. So let's just welcome everybody to the stream properly. So let's just pause there. Yeah, congrats on the A600 there, Pixels. Awesome stuff. So good to see so many familiar faces here. So I shall definitely check that out, Rob. That sounds amazing. Hi, Hazevega. I hope you're well. Yeah, so yeah, as Pixel says, most of the computer versions aren't great, as I won't want to spoil it, but let's just enjoy about 40 minutes or so, see how far we get on the NES here, and we'll go from there. So it is very much a game of reactions, this one. It's got that classic just missed it. So what you find is these pork chops sort of hidden in the walls or in the brickwork. So, because as there's often been commented that if I was going to rely on boosting my energy, I would definitely want to source some meat that I found hanging about in a wall. Let's get these fishmen. Probably didn't want that weapon. I must say I've not usually played this whilst chatting away, so an interesting challenge for sure. So yeah, these mermen, or whatever you want to call them, are a bit of a pain, but there you go, nice little bonus there if you Don't die. I missed that as well. We're doing really well here tonight. I've got this. I've got it. So yeah, some of the controls can be a bit finicky and a bit peculiar by today's standards, like you having to push diagonal on the controller actually to climb the stairs. But it's that's just the way Castlevania works, really. It's if you want to play a slightly more modern take on the Castlevania controls, is Super Castlevania IV, which is actually sort of like a remake of the first game. We will be looking at that today as well, so, or this evening, so. But yeah, it's just the music in this is just so sort of I don't know, well renowned. The holy water, the best power up in this game. And of course, obviously, the primary weapon being the whip, which does. Ooh, I'm gonna die here if I'm not careful. Is quite an effective weapon. Oh, don't want the axe. So the more you basically use your weapon power up, the more that you're likely to. There's a bat up there. I'm probably going to run out of time as well if I'm not careful. Died straight away, so. Spoilers, it's awful. Oh, Hazemaker, how dare you spoil the limelight. But you're right, it is atrocious. And it needs to be called out for as such, so. But, yeah, Castlevania is something that sort of frustrates and delights in equal measure, I find. The axe is going to be quite handy on the end of level boss here, so. So usually with this boss you can just spam it, and as long as you've got enough hearts you'll be okay. There you go. Jobs are good. No, don't go up there, sign. Oh, Dazzly, that's strange, isn't it? You've got streams coming up on your subs that now appear. There was lots of problems with YouTube last night, so yeah, I had some problems with it. Oh, the boomerang. That's not too bad, actually. I quite find that useful. But yeah, basically, I was hoping to do this stream last night, but I had problems actually getting connected, so that was a bit of a pain. But yeah, so it always pays to hang about in this game, because you'll get some unexpected little power-ups, which are useful. So the more you use your secondary weapon, as I say, you will actually get the second and third power-up. So it's just got this weird. There you go. Let's see if we can. There you go. But you've just got to be very careful not to fall down. Oh, I forgot about that back there. You've just got to be a bit careful that you don't fall down. Don't want to lose it. Come on. Oh, rats. Yeah, you don't want to fall down the stairs, because it's very easy to, unfortunately, fall down the stairs and lose a life. So it does pay to have a little bit of patience in this game. So. So, these Medusa heads are always a pain in the backside, I find. Ah! I will check the chat in a moment, guys. Well aware. Didn't want to collect that, but never mind. It's not too critical at this stage. Where's my little power? There it is. I don't know every secret in this game, I'll be honest. Far from it, the truth's known, but some of the earlier ones I'm pretty au fait with, shall we say. Shame I've got this crappy knife, which... and this is one of the things with Castlevania, you just get this knockback, which you've really got to stay on top of, because otherwise that's what's going to do for you. Come on. But yeah, this is one of those classic games that Konami is just so revered for. And to be honest with you, Castlevania, they could do very little wrong with it until they released the first Castlevanias for the PlayStation 2 and so forth, where they took it into sort of like the 3D realm proper, and it was just never as good. It's one of those games that just deserves to be a 2D cult classic. Don't knock me back. Damn. Yeah, Kid Dracula is cute, isn't it? Not played a whole lot of that, I'll be honest with you, but I think that was not released over here though, was it? I seem to think that was North America and Japan only, wasn't it? I might be wrong though. I'm not exactly the biggest font of knowledge when it comes to the NES or the Nintendo Entertainment System, so... Oh, come on. Ah! Get lost. There we go. So let's try and get past these Medusa heads. Rats. Yeah, this is not a game to play after you've had a few. Not that I have tonight, I hasten to add, because it's a school night, so you've got my full concentration tonight. But yeah, so the plan is we're going to play a bit of classic NES Castlevania, and then we're going to move over onto C64. As I was saying earlier on, Tim, I don't think you joined. I actually got it running, it played fine. But then it seemed to sort of freeze after the first level. So, and since then I've not been able to actually get it. Damn! And I had the boomerang as well. Let's continue. And I've not been able to get it running after that. So, which is a bit annoying. So I've basically just got the C64 sat over there, and I'm hoping that it's come back to life again, because I was actually really looking forward to showing that version of it. But whether it actually came out in the PAL territory, I think it did, but it may have had a very limited release, from what I understand. So, yeah. Is Hazemaker reading Zap 64? Just waiting for the interesting bits to come up, huh? But yeah, I'd say that one of the things I'm really looking forward to, hopefully very soon, is enjoying Castlevania Rondo of Blood on the PC Engine, thanks to oh, forgot about the bat again, Tim, who has managed to secure me a PC Engine, thanks to Gary, and that will be a hell of a lot of fun. So, because it's often said that it's the best version of Castlevania, but I've never had the opportunity to enjoy that myself, so first time for everything. So, but yeah, apart from that, my favourite version of Castlevania probably has to be Super Castlevania IV, swiftly followed by this particular version. Let the knife go. Yeah, got the free power up, that's cool. That's helpful. But yeah, it wasn't one that I played back in the day on the C64, the C64 version of this, that's for sure. And I don't ever recall seeing it in a shop or anything like that, so... There we go. It's got them. Don't knock me back, otherwise I'll have your guts for garters. So yeah, it definitely pays to use your power-ups in this game, that's for sure. Okay, it's got him, might even get him as well. Just get the pork chop, which looks more like a turkey. It does. If you read... Oh no, I got the bloody clock. I didn't want that. Well, I say clock, but the other thing that you'll find with Castlevania is that once you've committed to the jump, you can't change your direction. That's it, basically. So you better be damn sure that you've got what you want. Oh, this is going to suck that I've got this time freezing thing. It's not completely horrible, but it's not completely great either. So Rondo is fantastic, says Pishbot. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it, Tim? It looks like a much earlier game, but came out a lot later. Obviously, I think Castlevania, the North American release, came out in 1987 after because it had a different name in Japan, didn't it? I can't remember it, but it begins with an A, something Akuma Dracula or something like that, isn't it? So you've got to be careful of those spiky bits, because it's one-hit deaths. So, which suck. Come on, let me get the candle. No, okay, we can't get it. There, got it in the end. Oh, I've got the holy water. That's pretty awesome. So just got to be careful dodging these guys. Actually, we're just getting with the whip. Oh, damn. Badly timed jump there. And again. This is all about timing, this game. Am I actually getting it? I don't think I am. Come on. There we go, got it. So, yeah, get bonk on a PC Engine. Yeah, definitely going to be doing that, so yeah, that is definitely top on my playlist. So, ooh, let's get this little ghosty here. Have we got any little power-ups out? No. No. So yeah, whilst it may be tempting... Oh, we've got the 2 power-up back again. That's nice. Yeah. More Medusa heads, because I love them so. The best thing to do is just keep moving and jumping, I find. That usually works as a tactic, so... Although my energy is really poor at the minute. Right, there's our adversary. Spam that magic. Yeah. Hey there, Huggy. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see a new name in the chat there. So, welcome to tonight's Castlevania stream. We're going to look at Castlevania 4 ways, hopefully. We started off with the NES classics, so we're probably about, let's just see where let's just pause. Yeah, we're probably going to play about another 15 minutes on the NES, even though I want to play for probably about another 2 hours on this version, because it's that good. Let's get this guy, and oh man, I hate these. What are they? Sort of like hunchbacks, aren't they? So it's just a matter of patience and timing with these guys. Otherwise, they will just chump and chase you around all over the shop. So yeah, do tell us a bit more about you, Hucky. It'd be lovely just to hear about what your gaming history is, what you think of Castlevania, and anybody else in the chat. Just say what your introduction to retro gaming, or Castlevania perhaps was. Be lovely to hear about it all. So I only had one friend at school who had an NES. It was a bit of a strange thing to have in the UK, actually, on the whole. It's not to say people didn't have them, but yeah, slightly more compared to... Oh no, damn. Slightly more unusual system to have out of all of them, I suppose, in the UK, but obviously extremely popular in the States, so which is most of where its internet love and perhaps some of its latent popularity over here in the UK and Europe perhaps comes from. Come on. So yeah, it's a game that I own on the NES and also on the Game Boy Advance, as I've got the NES Classic for that as well, because you can't have too much of a good thing. So I'm pretty good at Castlevania. I'm not the best, but I'm pretty good, pretty handy with it. Apart from then. I'd say it's I've completed it at least once or twice, I think, overall. So it's but it still provides a good challenge. It's one of those ones that if you've not played it for a while, you can soon lose the knack for it. So let's get one of those down there. Don't want what's underneath there because I know that is an axe. So there are 6 stages in total. Well, what I call stages. I know in the top right hand corner it refers to them stages up there, but those are like screens, I guess. Oh, I just got to keep moving here. It's the best strategy. Just keep moving. There are a few useful power-ups there, but we'll die. Making a bit of a mess of these birds, it has to be said, actually. Let's give myself a bit of space. Right, that's better. Ah! Rats. Never had an NES, says Dasley. Remember seeing it in Curry's and stuff, and I had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with it. Yeah, that was one of the games that my friend who I just mentioned had on the system. So I think we just mostly played that and Super Mario World 3 on it. Castlevania was not one of the games that he had for his NES, so there was probably others, but those are the 2 that I remember, and we certainly enjoyed them, that's for sure. Aye, there we go. They're tough buggers in this game, those sort of double skull things. Ah, rats. I should know better by now, really, that you can't do that. It's just not going to work. Keep walking, keep walking. You've never played a Castlevania game, says Pixels, but you know the music well. People seem to speak highly of Symphony of the Night. Yeah, do you know what? Mostly because of the cost of it. I've never actually played it. I know there are ways and means of being able to play it, but I've not pursued them as yet, shall we say. Let's just use the clock. There you go. It uses up quite a few hearts, but I think it's worth us not struggling for the sake of it. Oh, that was close. Ah, damn, same thing again. So yeah, basically you've got to be so careful of that knockback in this game. So it's you also only had one friend with an NES, Lobster, playing Punch Out, Mario 2 and 3 at his place. Yeah, he also actually, thinking about it, had Super Mario Brothers, the first game, but I don't remember him having Super Mario Brothers 2, let's put it that way. So badly timed jump. Come and get me if you think you're hard enough, that's what I say. It's never going to end well if you do that. Go. Right, there we go. That's better. As I say, I'm not exactly the best games player you'll ever see in your whole life, but I consider myself to be half decent at most games, so it's nice to actually enjoy some half decent gameplay. Otherwise it's just like watching me die lots, so we'll probably just get to the end of this stage with a bit of luck. And then we will see whether the C64 has come back to life and is... Well, the C64 is working fine. But whether Castlevania has decided to work for the second time, so... man. That's a slightly more useful weapon. Thank you for the pork chop and all the joy you give me. Or something like that. Die. Come on, man. Yeah. Ah, I didn't get it. You're good at gaming, always fun. Oh, thanks, Pishbot. That's very kind. It's super hard following chat and chatting and concentrating on gameplay, but I feel as time goes by, apart from my disastrous microphone issues earlier on, I'm getting better at it. So we'll play another 5 minutes of this, but probably until I've actually died, which, if it's... Oh, it's this stage, which won't be very long. I have to say, this is possibly the most frustrating stage of the whole game, if you ask me. I don't know why. I just don't get on with it. Just... Oh. Well, there's no reason for me to die there. Means you get an invincibility. That's not exactly the most useful thing there, but never mind. We'll get the... dropped it. It's going to get the stopwatch, but don't hit me, mermen, or whatever you are, sea creatures, or they do have a fishmen or something like that, I think they're called. I'm going to get the holy water shortly, so that's actually more useful. This was a bit that always used to get me. There's a certain knack to it. You kind of got to let that go once and then go for the jump. I'm gonna get knocked back. It's one of those games as well that you do just learn the patterns of it, and you just know when you're going to get knocked back. So whilst its controls can sometimes be a bit frustrating, they are a known quantity. It doesn't exactly do anything unusual. Just in case that fishman or whatever he's called comes up to get me. Didn't actually mean to hit it that time. But yes, this is just classic NES, old school gaming gameplay. It's all about timing and just pixel perfect accuracy sometimes. Right, wait for the bat to come back and then we will jump. Alright, we'll let it go. One thing that is good about this is it's generally quite fair with the timing, so you don't end up with ridiculous time limits, but it's pretty tight on like there was probably a pixels gap between me and the platform I was just trying to walk onto, and it still was just like, nah, you're dead. Oh, that could have been useful. We'll catch up with the chat shortly, guys. Just keeping on top of the gameplay. So it's that looking down is not the direction of the screen. Oh no! Got me! Hey Mauro, hope you're well. No beer tonight. No beer tonight. It's a Monday. No, I've got some orange squash over there, but I'm just drawn into the gameplay tonight, so I will have a good glug of that in a minute. So we'll play till I die here, and then we'll see whether the C64 is behaving. If not, we have the Amiga definitely. Oh, I really don't want to stop because I enjoyed it so much on the NES. So that gives you a good impression of what it can be like, shall we say. Not to give anything away. But let's just go full screen with the webcam just a moment. There we go. Hopefully you can still hear me and we've not got more microphone issues. So, yeah, so good to see you, Mauro. Yeah, so let's see what we've got going on C64. Hopefully this is going to work. I've got a black screen. That's not looking positive, is it? I'm going to need to change the aspect ratio regardless. Oh, it's so annoying. I actually had this running and it, like I say, it crashed after I died on the first level, which doesn't usually happen, which gives you a bit of an idea what the controls are like. Let me just flick over and just make sure I'm not missing anything. So I'm doing really well, Mara. I hope you're good. Yeah, they're doing well here. Well, I'm doing well. Not so sure that the C64 is, but as I say, I had this running once, and now it's just like, nah. Thank you for playing. Come back soon. That's basically what it's been saying to me. Let's just see if I'm going to give this one shot, and then I might have to switch to the Amiga. So, as I was saying, the NES version is one that I could just play for hours on end. It's just so good. There it is. So this is again my childhood. Oh, yeah, no, that's right. C64 as always. So let's have a look down here. There it is. So that's our slightly ramshackle setup here tonight. So, but yeah, let's just see if I can just get the webcam kind of looking in this direction whilst I'm fiddling about, so you don't have nothing to look up. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you can see me. So, yeah. I should have just started the game and not played it, so I did also have this other image here, but that one I didn't seem to be able to get to work, so I'll just try this one because I think the black screen came from the other one that I was trying. Let's try this. You never know, we might get lucky. Well, we've got a black screen. And a green light. Whatever that means. no red flashing light. I don't know whether this is gonna play dice or not. Let me just get it so I can see the chat here. Amiga, Amiga, Amiga. Always fell asleep yourself. Yeah, I know that feeling. So, oh, hang on. We have some graphics. Yay! Maybe I started the wrong one. I think we're good again, guys. So this might only work for the first level, but okay. I think we're good. Now, obviously, this is a C64 game, so it might be a little bit slow loading. So let me just very quickly, because I don't want to talk over the whole of this stuff. Maybe should I? Dracula's Hall of Blame. Didn't notice that. So this here, I don't know if you can see it. So about a month or two ago, the Guru Meditation, that's Amiga Bill Winters, and Anthony, whose surname just escapes my mind at the moment, but basically the Guru Meditation, you'll find them on YouTube. They pretty much do Amiga stuff, but Anthony was idly saying about the Power Stick being the ultimate joystick, and so I laughed because obviously my joystick of choice is, of course, the classic squeaky zip stick. But this Power Stick is quite an interesting oddity because this was made by Amiga Corporation before Commodore bought them in 1984. So basically, when the original engineers of the Amiga, like Jay Miner, Dave Needle, Ron Nicholson, Joe DeCure and so forth were sort of designing Amiga along with all the other guys like Carl Sassenrath and RJ Michael and Dale Luck and all those guys. They had this front of basically producing peripherals for the Atari and so forth, the Atari 2600. And so basically they came up with the Joyboard, which is the most famous of their peripherals, shall we say. Will this focus? Maybe if I hold it there. That's the only problem with webcams. But basically, oh, here we go. That did kind of focus for a moment. It's probably because it's got low contrast on it. Can you just about see the Amiga logo on there? Anyway, but basically this is an Amiga joystick before Amiga became the thing that we know it. So this, yeah, it's just this tiny little joystick. So I thought, well, let's give it a go. So anyway, I'm not here to talk about joysticks. But yeah, it's super interesting little thing. I must admit, I've not actually used it yet, so this could be interesting. Hi Toro, that's correct. Yeah. So basically, Hi Toro, yeah, was their first name, wasn't it? And then I think they changed it to Amiga, didn't they? So, but yeah, this is just after their Hi Toro days. So, Tim says I might want to try the D64 file, but I've got a funny feeling that the D64 file was the one that caused the black screen that I had, and that maybe it was this one that sort of worked. So I'm going to give this a bash, Tim, just because I've kind of got it here, and we'll just see how it goes, really. Right. Let me just see if there's any audio at the moment. I'll just try starting the game as well, with a bit of luck. Oh, there we go. Sid tunes to the win. So it looks a bit nezzy, doesn't it? Let's go full screen here. Not quite as nice as the NES tune, but it's okay. Fingers crossed it's going to start. Please work, please work. Oh, the moment of truth. So yeah, this little cool natty joystick should be interesting to play with, because the idea with it is you just hold it in your hand like so. So, oh, I hope this is working. Oh, we've got flashing lights and stuff. So, oh, here we go. Start a new game. Yeah, I think it's good. I do need to get myself on those fast load cartridges, don't I, Tim? So, sorry, I'm just juggling around all this stuff here. So, oh, that tune. Oh, oh, Sid. Oh, you've got a D64 that works fine for you. Okay, great. Well, maybe I'll use that in the future. This one's going to be problematic. If you find this tune a bit too ear-piercing, do let me know and I'll... Right, okay, so I've plugged in the power stick. Does this have to go into control port 2, maybe? I've not used this power stick before, so I'm assuming that it works. Maybe it doesn't work. Oh, the fire buttons work. But it doesn't seem to move anywhere. Anthony, you've sent me a dud. Anthony Becker, that's his name. Oh, audio's cut out a bit. It's good, this, isn't it? Okay, I'm going to switch to the zip stick because I can't seem to get that to move at the moment, so... I only dug out the power stick literally before the stream. I thought, oh my gosh, that'd be cool. Better than using a squeaky zip stick, but there you go, so... It just sounds a bit like the Blockbusters theme tune. Oh my word. Castlevania, the best it could do was be a bit like Bob Holness. I'll have a pee, please, Bob. So, okay, right. So far, so good. Whip power up seems to make you pause for a bit too long, but you know it's moving along okay. Yay! Managed to jump over the entrance and get the little bonus. So it's all right, but the sound is terrible. Now, obviously, being one button based game, it only supports up for jump, which does take a bit of getting used to. It has to be said. The enemy patterns are also quite different, but the graphics aren't awful. They're a bit chunkier than the NES in many respects, but but I just don't seem to have any music, which is a shame. So, and of course, obviously, part of Castlevania is that wonderful music. But you know, graphically, I would say that this is decent. You know, C64 graphics are always more chunkier. That's just the way that multicolour mode works on it. The scrolling's not as good. And it seems that some objects are just so difficult to actually get. I just hate the sound it makes when you almost have to jump diagonally and hit the fire button quicker, if that makes sense. It's definitely port 2. Oh, okay, thanks, Sanjin, yeah. It's been a while. I suppose I was just thinking control port 1, control port 2 sort of thing, but yeah. Ugh. I think the other thing, and I might be wrong about this, it might be just me making up an excuse for my terrible gameplay at the moment, but it seems like the screen's a bit narrower overall, meaning that you've got even less time to react to enemies. I mean, that was just bad gameplay there, I'll be honest. But the thing that really does for it is the fact that you have to use up for jump. It does make it quite hard to get those, and you know, power-ups that are just a little bit higher up. And it makes it difficult when he stairs, because you want to... there we go. Jump, but then you end up on the stairs, and then it does vice versa. So, there we go, I'm dead. Okay, Is that me back to the beginning of the stage? Looks like it, doesn't it? Oh, could do with that little whip power up there. And that one. So, I can't say it's awful, but it just seems to lack something. And for some reason, I'm pretty sure that bug exists in the NES version. If you had a weapon power up before you died, and you'd pretty much got it to the point where it was ready to be powered up to sort of like the second level or the third level, it seems as if, like, at the next spawn point for that power up, it still appears even though you don't actually have a weapon that can be powered up. But it's okay. If I'd never played the NES version, would I have loved this game? Maybe a bit. I mean, I used to play some pretty awful games on the C64 that I really enjoyed. So it's not too bad. And maybe I'm being a bit kind to it. It's not a patch on the NES version as far as I'm concerned, but we will be seeing something soon that's definitely not as good as this. So, but it sort of moves along, and it seems sometimes a little bit unresponsive when you want to use the whip. But I think that's possibly just my reaction times. I'm more attuned to the NES version than this. This is where some of the graphics, like the chunky C64 graphics, start to wreak a bit of havoc, I would say. Is that particularly those sort of like brick patterns, it all starts to merge into one. So you have to be a little bit careful. So, oh, you're going to hold the PC Engine ransom so you can sort the zip stick out. Well, that's very kind of you, Tim. I didn't think you would offer. Come on, go down. Yeah, sorry, it is very squeaky. So it needs more than WD-40, this stick. It needs a full MOT. So I do quite like the sprites of the fishmen. They look a bit better than they do on the NES version, I think. They actually do look a bit like a fish head. So, but yeah, you'll notice that power-up seemed to get stuck halfway up the sky there. Ooh. So, yeah, I can't say that I completely dislike this version, but it's certainly not a classic, let's put it that way. Yeah, it plays okay. It's fairly smooth, I would say. Will the bonus appear? Oh, no, but I will get the knockback. Oh, does that mean it's going to take me to the... Yep. Okay. Oh. Yeah, you'll just notice that sometimes when jumping it's just a little bit slow scrolling. Yeah. And likewise, it is definitely a little bit more difficult to get some of these candles that are just a little bit higher up. So sometimes it's just easier to go for these lower down ones, but the downside of that is that... Oh, go down. Yeah, definitely doing the diagonal sort of to climb down the stairs is a lot more tricky than it is on the NES. I'd say that maybe Simon moves a little bit quicker in this version than the enemies. I think it's reasonably easy. Not back. Yeah, so hey, Era 42. Ringing endorsement. It's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Like I say, we're going to see why I can't say it's bad in a moment. I don't want to give it away, but the Amiga version of Castlevania is appalling. Well, I have given it away there, but it's yeah. It's a classic case of proving that graphics does not make a game. It'll always be the gameplay. Come on, Simon, let's go. You've had your pork. I'm sure I've heard that sort of like knockback or that you've been hit sound effect somewhere else. It's almost like the equivalent of the C64's ST01 disc. You know, like, here's the enemy attack sound effect. Right, okay, I'm not gonna bother with the extra bonus points. I'm just gonna get up here. Let's get on with this. Over we go. Up we go. Is there anything worthwhile? It might be something worthwhile, but be damned if we can get it. So yeah, I've that effect when you basically strike all the enemies out on the screen is pretty rough. The lack of music really kills this, I think. I mean, that initial tune was pretty rough, so maybe it's a good thing that they didn't. Whoever did the sound design on this didn't actually do any more sound. I'm guessing that's the invisibility, yeah. But, yeah. But it does move at a reasonable pace. The playability isn't great. But it's a reasonable attempt at Castlevania. I have no doubt whatsoever that if we had a modern game dev on the C64 doing this, they would... Come on. What happened there? Okay. Well... Okay, that made sense. Oh dear. That was that. This is where it crashed last time, so... You never know. Probably doesn't help that I keep... There we go. Hit any key to continue. Oh, start over. Not continue, just end or start over, which to me means the same thing. So yeah, as you saw there, basically the first end of level boss, the vampire, I seem to basically get killed by jumping into thin air towards it, so... No worries, Sanjay. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and hope it goes well tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for your advice today. And I'm sure the zip stick will be making its way to you at some point. We'll give this one more go before moving on to the next version. I wanted to give about half an hour to each version, so... Obviously the NES one I played a little bit longer because it's just a little bit better. So we'll play this for about another 10 minutes. Oh, didn't quite get the bonus that time. But yeah. So how are you enjoying your new Amiga 600 then, Pixels? Are you enjoying it? It sounded like you had a bit of a scare that it might not work when you first got it. What did that turn out to be? Was it just... a bit cold to start up, or do you have to get the choke out on it? I know everybody mocks my zip stick, but I think it is actually genuinely getting worse. I mean, bear in mind that this was dug out the loft last year and was quite squeaky then after not being used for about 18 years. And it's only got worse over the... oh, that was quite fortunate. The last year and a half or so. Oh. No, it's just so difficult to actually get the candle power-ups and stuff that are just above your head. It's just like there. It's, I don't know. It's gonna. You want to do the jump, but you just can't because obviously both, unlike the NES where you hit a different button, you're immediately taken into climbing up the stairs, which is what I didn't want. So you kind of have to do these diagonal jumps to get these other power-ups, and yeah, the controls are just a little bit of a mess, it has to be said, but yeah. So I hope you guys all had a good weekend. Did you get up to? Did you manage to get much gaming in, or was it a chill out? Picked up any cool new games or systems that float any of you? Do throw it down into the chat. Always good to hear. So. Clearly struck that enemy there, but still didn't get the power up. Right, okay, we'll just come on, just get up the stairs. That's it. Up you go. Oh, that's me dead. Hopefully I can restart at the top of these stairs though. No. So yeah, this I think the thing is this just doesn't seem to have any of the fun or excitement of the NES version. It just seems a bit like, oh, here we go again, just playing through this sort of slightly derivative sort of action platformer. It's bizarre because technically, you know, this game does everything that the NES version does, but it just seems so dull by comparison. I'm not sure what causes it to have that feeling, but that's how I would describe it. And for a game that came out in 1990 on the C64, like 3 years after it came out on the NES, is pretty poor. There were better looking games than this by 1990 on the C64, like Flimbo's Quest. It wasn't all a bed of roses at that time, obviously. Plenty of rubbish, but I think the more you get used to the way that it... what the okay, just about got it. Right. I wonder how you... So in this version, it seems if you push far and up. So what is it that kills me there? Because... I wonder how on earth... Because I can't jump towards where the vampire is, because as soon as you jump up there, basically you hit this unknown enemy. I think this might be our last attempt on this particular version. Yeah, I just can't actually... Hey, Late Night Reviews, how you doing? So, hope you're well. I haven't seen you for a while. He was on the beach all week now, bits that tingle in the shower. What can I say? Slip, slap, slop with every trip or something like that. So, but yeah, it sounds like your Amiga 600 needs a recap there, Pixels. That will put it in good stead. So, you've not really gotten back into gaming even now. As you can probably tell how bad my skills were at Swag. It's just easy to watch other people play it, well, as long as you enjoy it. So that's the main thing. Just sat around on Settlers Insert Disc 2 screen for 50 minutes, not listen, just listen to intro music. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. So Oh, okay. So you put up another video. I'll look it up. Look it up. I watched your CD32 video. I think a couple of weeks ago, Era 42. It was very interesting. But yeah, tidying up things. So it basically appears that there is no way to actually defeat. Oh, yeah. I know the time's going down, but I can't. If you won't actually trigger the adversary, then how am I meant to actually... This is really good, this version. Gets my seal of approval. It's awful, isn't it? It was... Do you know what? I don't know whether that's just the version I'm trying to play or what, but I've had enough of that version. I'm just going to take that out. So that's the... Commodore 64 version, which as you can see is utterly sublime. Right, let's just switch over back to the webcam. Okay, so next version, Amiga. Things can only get better because obviously everybody knows that the Amiga is a better system than the C64, right? You know, better graphics, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So let me just take the SCART out for the C64. I'm just going to move that out the way. I'm sure there's actually a lot of sense in emulation sometimes. But there's something nice about playing your childhood computers, isn't there? So, right, that's that one. Amiga SCART. There it is. Now this should still be running. I actually loaded it up to start with. So, well, let's hope so. There we go. Oh no, that's HDMI. Sorry, just the Amiga version was running before I started the stream, so... Right, okay, so let's reboot the Amiga. Maybe it's going to be so good that that's the harbinger of things to come. I'll be honest with you, before I actually looked at... Because I was going to do the stream originally last Friday, but just various things I had going on just precluded for me being able to do the stream with any real, I don't know, proper ability. So I basically decided to save it for another day, which is what we're doing tonight. So I'll be honest with you, before I actually started looking into doing a Castlevania stream, I'd only ever played it obviously on the SNES and the NES in its various versions on those systems. So the thought of obviously playing this on the Amiga to start with, I mean obviously I read the reviews and stuff from Lemon Amiga, which just whilst I get the Amiga version up and running, so let's just do this. I'm doing this on a really tiny thumbnail on my OBS, so I can't actually read or barely see the mouse pointer, but I know what I'm looking for here, so... Okay, let's let that just run. So, yeah, on Lemon Amiga, let me refresh my memory of what it got. Lemon Amiga, Castlevania... Amiga. I think it almost managed 4 out of 10, which to my mind is quite generous. 3.25 on lemonamiga.com. Just to give you a little bit of a snippet of what other people thought of it. So, Kodoichi says, much better graphics than the NES version, but crappier gameplay, which is quite charitable. Kabamaru has said that I gave this pure crap rating. Unresponsive controls. When hitting those candles with you have to be very precise. Uninspired graphics. The NES 8-bit counterpart looks better. I agree with that actually. Okay. So what else did Guy Fawkes Retro is a little bit more diplomatic with just fail, more fail, throw in some more epic fail, and then you have a biblical fail. So, quite even-handed there. Spider says, "Buh, it's a real bad game. It's not worth a try." I feel that Spider might be onto something there, so... Earth Angel, however, starts a bit more positively. Control and collision are so bad it almost seems like a mockery of the original. Feels like it was programmed by a smart-ass 7th grader named Chad. Apologies to all the Chads out there, so... and basically it goes on from there, really, so... Hitchhiker, 10 years ago or so, says, lousy controls. So, with that in mind, we're into a good one here, guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Basically, this version of Castlevania, I would suggest makes tier techs look like elite programmers. So for those guys that don't know who tier techs were, they were basically one of US Gold's destroyers in chief. I'm just going to bring up the Major audio. Okay. I have to say it's very, very quiet, the audio in this game, so if you can't hear anything, just let me know. Oh, I'm fiddling with all the wrong buttons there. There we go. Yeah, it's very, very quiet. I'm not sure who that dude is there with his wand. Is that meant to be Dracula? Looks like a slightly kinky gnome, but... Right, okay, let's do this. The bizarre thing is that you seem to have to wait until you get... Yeah, there he is, kinky gnome. Sorry, I'm just... Right, so... yeah, it's got a bit of a Castlevania tune there, isn't it? And not as dreadful sounding as that little short introduction on the C64, whilst we had the in-game music, so... Great introduction, lol. Yeah. Well, we got a nice colourful introduction there. It's looking a bit like one of those sort of cheap PD games a little bit at the moment. Right. Your eyes do not deceive you. Simon is moving up great chunks of pixels. Smoothness is not something that this game generally does. The scrolling is just atrocious. The thing is that this didn't actually come out for the Atari ST, yet it feels like it was coded for it. What the I'm sorry, but those enemies just look wrong. They do. What is with their attack pattern? It seems like they're just piling up one on top of each other. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. For anybody who has treasured childhood memories of Castlevania, avert your eyes now. I mean, this should have come with a government health warning. But yeah, it just definitely puts me in mind of somebody... I mean, obviously, I do pixel art, and I encourage people to start doing pixel art, but this just looks... Oh, I don't know. I just don't like it. I just don't like the art style. I hate the playability of it as well, so... They're wearing 90s, yes. And unlike other versions, you get brought back to this part. I'm pretty certain you don't get brought back to this part once you've got through it on the NES. I might be wrong. It also seems as if there's less cauldrons to collect at this point as well. Oh, you do get the bonus, so that's there. Yeah. But yeah, this just looks so amateurish. It really does. And unfortunately, the soundtrack is... Let's just keep moving. Okay. I really can see that they worked on the enemy AI on this version. I'm not saying that the AI in the NES original is something to behold, but it's... Oh god, the whip is even worse in this version, isn't it? Ah, it's just so sluggish. It really is. Not just is Simon flash dancing his way through this game, but it's... yeah, everything about it is just... and the problem is that those sort of, the cats or whatever they are virtually hidden into the balustrade or the stairs. Come on. I'm trying to give this a chance, guys. I'm trying to be even-handed. I think this would be a fantastic game for somebody like the Angry Video Game Nerd to... I have to say, the Angry Video Game Nerd. I like James Rolfe. I think he's a great guy, and I like his film stuff. But I find the Angry Video Game Nerd a little bit too much for my tastes. Yeah, so there's basically no way of avoiding that cat, really. Not that I could tell. Oh, another nighty crawler. Flash dancing. Yeah, that's what it is. This is just a classic example of where somebody went, oh look, we've got lots more colours on the Amiga. Let's use them not very well. And make a classic game look worse. I think that was basically the design objective with this one. I don't like the sound design of this as well. It just... just make sure that both channels are working. Oh, hang on. There we go. Sorry, the audio cable in the back of my Amiga was a bit wonky donkey. No. So there was actually a bass track in this game after all. I will say that the money bags look a little bit clearer as to the different denominations of them, shall we say. But, oh my god, the scrolling in this is just pitiful. It's basic. It seems to... I don't know what it is, because when you look at the left edge, it looks to be scrolling quite happily. But when it actually comes to... maybe it's just the movement of the main player sprite. Or you can jump over it. Maybe it's just the... I want to get past this bit. Up we go. No. I think it's not so much the scrolling screen. I think it's just that the main character of Simon just hops along. It's almost as if, you know, there's a strobe light on Simon and he's just... no, not up the stairs. The whip sound effect is quite bassy, isn't it? It just seems like all the sprites in this are just moving at just increments rather than sort of pixel by pixel there. Yeah. What the hell has happened to those guys? There's something about it that actually when you look at the sprites more closely you can see that, oh actually that is a fish head. And also the enemies don't seem to die when you actually touch them, which they do on the NES version. They just seem to keep on getting you, which is more fail. And I hate that attack pattern of the bats as well. They're not really fluttering, they're just kind of drifting along. Oh god. Sorry, I don't want to feel like I'm a broken record just corroborating what somebody else has written a few times about this version, but you can see why I was quite charitable to the C64 version now. What I might do is, just very briefly after this, is just flash back to the NES, just so that you can see what it should be like. And then, yeah, of course the graphics are... so I'm actually stuck on the platform now. Oh my word. Yeah, the attack patterns in this version are just very different to... No, no, no. Oh. Oh. This is a chore, guys, I'll be honest. It actually looks like cover this game from the early days, or a name was tutorial title. I didn't want to say it, Rob, because obviously the other day I dug out Amos, and actually I've been seeing some stuff that's been giving me a newfound respect for Amos. But this is exactly what it puts me in mind of. You know, like one of those really dodgy sort of PD games that sounded great, you know, from 17-bit software or F1 licenseware or somewhere like that. But when you got it, you put it in and you was just like, that was a waste of 79p. You know? It's... I just want to get to the bit with the vampire at the end of... and the jumping is incredibly good. Hall of Blame. Oh, I have a Hall of Blame for this game, so... Game over. Oh, not a moment too soon. I love how the end of game messages look a bit like a guru meditation as well, so... Yeah, not Dracula on this version, says 70 Barnacle, but Count Duckula. Yep, got that in one. Can't hear the whip, can only hear the duck quack from your dipstick. How funny. Captain Judderfoot. Yeah, that's exactly it, Rob. It just feels like the screen. If you just concentrate on scrolling at the left or the right edge, you'll see it's actually moving relatively smoothly. But it just seems like the sprite is moving at about 4 or 5 pixels at a time. And it's almost like it's almost like there's sprite flicker. You know, that it's... I don't know, that you're not seeing the frames of the animation a number of times. And bear in mind, I'm playing on a real Amiga here, so this isn't an emulation thing. I mean, I feel bad for it, because my Amiga 600 has rarely paid such garbage in the last year. I've mostly played quality stuff on it. So I do feel a bit bad for inflicting this on it, but, you know. I just really would like to get to... Come on, pussycat. Come and get me. Take that. Yeah, so... I almost want to break out into Tom Jones. Hey there, pussycat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This is rubbish. Oh. You can't even see Simon's character, actually, sometimes. He seems to sort of moonwalk up the stairs. Oh. Obviously got a power up to wipe the enemies off the screen, but no sooner had I done. So, essentially, you've got amateurish graphics, really dull sound design, generally. You've just got very bad playability. Just everything about this seems to suck. I'll be honest. You know, the enemies just appear far too quickly for you to... And they do... I mean, I suppose in some respects you could say, well, the respawn rate is like an old NES game. Yep. They just keep on coming. And somehow... I ended up back up the stairs even though I didn't move the joystick. I just pushed fire. I love how these fishmen basically immediately jump out. And then after you straight away. Oh. Okay. I mean, obviously the unfairness there, shall we say, you can't... Nope. You can't hold that against it, but yeah. Because that's what Castlevania is. It can be seemingly unfair sometimes, but it's... seems to always be even-handed. Predictable, maybe, so... Oh, fire button takes me back up the stairs, it seems, so... So you can see how I actually do wish Teartex had a go at doing this version. Because I think at least the graphics would have been a bit better. I mean, the scrolling would have probably still been awful, but not this bad. Just get up there. I don't know how they could have got this so wrong. This is, I want to say, a classic Amiga problem in the early days. And not that this is particularly early days. This came out in 1990. So there's no excuse for this, really. I'd love to know what the peeps who did this, what they actually thought of this, the end result. Were they proud of it? Was it rushed out? Did they manage to finish it? Let's just let the night fairies go by. Oh look, there's our resident vampire. Is already after me. I love how I've got the power up there, even though I don't actually have a weapon. Well, that was impossible. I didn't actually seem to die there. I seemed to walk back to the block where I got the power up. Oh, your guess is as good as mine on this one, I'll be honest. No, I can't get... I do feel a sense of accomplishment in that I got this far. But yeah, this is the classic kind of rubbish that gave the Amiga a bad name in console gaming. Obviously, the Amiga had plenty of brilliant games, so there's you know, we all know that that's not the case. But unfortunately, when people sort of the respawn rate on this is just screwed, isn't it? It's just constant. Let me get the candle up there. No. Wasn't even worth getting anyway. Oh, and I'm running out of time as well. Remember I said about on the NES version, that generally one thing you can say is the time limit is quite fair. Right, ran out of time, but didn't actually get the die animation. What is this song about? I think it's called Jitterbug. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, hang on. Got an axe there. That's somewhat useful. Didn't actually want to use it there, but that's okay. At least I can actually fight. No. The vampire here. I love how it just gives you the... Right, excuse the squeaking. I'm just desperately trying to get... I want to be the first person that got to stage 2 in this atrocious port. Yay! I did it somehow. Oh. I don't know that I want to get to stage 2, so... That graphic's quite nice. I like the parchment with the bits and pieces. And the control panel at the top looks quite nice. I'll give it that much. So I'm not being funny, but this sounds like the kind of music module that I would create. Just literally a bass drum with a couple of chords, isn't it? Yeah, we've got the little crown power-up, so... Oh, come over here. I mean... It's just too vibrant, isn't it? Really? I don't know what it is, but it's... about the graphics design, it just shows... Oh, that knight is in a completely different place to usual. I somehow got a hit there. But look how those stairs are just blending into everything there. It's not good, is it? Let's be honest. I hope you can see why I was reasonably charitable to the C64 version now. But I don't wish to rag on, you know, pixel art, because we all start somewhere with it. But this just looks so amateurish. But not in a good way. Sometimes there is something quite nice about amateuristic endeavour, I find. But this just looks... This was either somebody's first job or somebody was getting away with murder. Look at those Medusa heads. My word. At least they're pretty easy to get past. They don't have any of the difficulty of the NES original. Nope, that knight's disappeared now. Basically, this whole game is bugged, isn't it? The attack patterns are up the chute. That power-up doesn't exist. Or bonus, rather. The controls are poor at best. The gameplay is... Well, I can't even say it's poor at best, it's just awful. The thing with this as well is because you don't have the separate button to jump, you can't do a jump and then get your secondary weapon on the go. It's just not going to work. Come on. Well, at least that bit was easy, I guess. Nope, maybe it wasn't. I love how it just... You can't seem to get the candles even though when you're right on top of them. It's almost... Nope. Been knocked back there. Yeah. Duck abuse, yeah. This is way too big of a title to do your practice project, yeah. Well, I don't know. It makes me want to do a Castlevania for the Amiga, it has to be said. You know, put my words where my mouth is on it kind of thing. Maybe I should do that. I'm sure I could do a better job. I mean, it helps. See, the attack pattern seems to have changed on this playthrough. The Medusa heads are actually coming lower down now. That knight just seems to disappear off screen and never comes back. Nope, that power-up doesn't seem to exist on this version. Yeah. I'm almost dead, thankfully, so we can actually play a decent version of this. Oh. I will say this, at least the knockback doesn't seem to always take you off the platform. I'm not trying to get killed on purpose here, but maybe I am. But it's even when you're just hitting the fire button, like, kind of shoot. Yes, at last I'm dead. Oh, thank goodness for that. Oh, well, that was a relief. I don't mind the serpent heads there. They're quite nice, and the marble columns look quite good there, actually, to be fair. I hate this game on the Amiga. I'll be honest, it's horrible. Maybe they did can the SD version before it was released, Rob. That's the only thing I can think of. It's just dire, isn't it? Anybody who enjoyed that game is a better person than I am. Right, so what's the time? Oh gosh, it's already 11:15. So I was going to show some of the NES version again, just so you had a comparison, but I think we all know how well that version plays. So we will go on to the SNES version, which is a reimagining of the first game, despite its name of Super Castlevania IV, because I'm hoping to... Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, so nice to see you. Hi there, Carverdack, hope you're well, new name in the stream, so do say hello and tell us all about your retro gaming or what you're into and so forth. Be lovely to hear. I'm sure Nintendo would be very supportive of a Castlevania project like that. I think they would be as well. I really cannot honestly see any litigational problems with that. I think they would be very understanding of the appropriation of their IP on a platform that is going to earn them, or the developer in question, an insignificant amount of money. So, what's to lose, really? So... yeah, but it might be an interesting project nonetheless to recreate some graphics even if you didn't do the game. So maybe I'll look into that. So I've got to complete one of my existing projects before I... Right. So let's get this up on the SNES. Let's change this to HDMI. There's only so much that you can take, isn't there? I'm just going to let this music play. I played it a couple of weeks ago in full, but this is just epic. Night, love, Sam Peter. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a good night. Well, that's how you do in-game music, if you ask me. Not that rancid tune that was playing on the Amiga version of Castlevania there. So I love my Amiga dearly, as you all know. So I hate to speak ill of it, but needs must on that particular occasion. So I think I'm going to just try and use a code that I've got here, which I think is the right one. Because I have been playing through this lately. I would go from the very beginning, but I actually wanted to get to the bit where you actually enter Dracula's castle, and because it will allow us to at least sort of see the same level as we have been playing. But if this isn't it, then I shall just start from the beginning. I mean, obviously the Super Nintendo is graphically... Ah, yes, it is. Good start. So, obviously, the thing with Super Castlevania IV is, obviously, Simon can lash his whip in all sorts of directions. But, yes, the... okay. Gonna have to sharpen my wits again after those sluggish versions that we've just endured. But yeah, the big benefit in this version is the ability to strike that whip in all sorts of directions. But yeah, the graphics are obviously going to be somewhat superior on the SNES because it's just a more colourful machine than the OCS/ECS Amigas generally. Not always, but does tend to be the case. So, and thankfully we've got a dedicated button back here for our secondary weapon. And we're just back on good familiar territory here. That's me dead. You know, with actual solid gameplay. Let me just pause a minute. I'll just get the chat back. So, loving so it's not the same as being. Yeah, that is different. I can. The thing is that I just love. I love old systems. I love them all for different reasons. I mean, obviously some are much closer to my heart than others because, like for example, the Amiga and the C64 and the SNES. I grew up with them and the Mega Drive to some extent because I played that endlessly at various friends' houses, but didn't get the. But yes, there is a difference between being a fanboy and a fangirl, shall we say, than there is loving something, if you ask me. There you go. Let's not forget the multi-direction whip in this version. It's so just ignore the graphics because obviously the SNES does have that advantage graphically compared to obviously its predecessor and so forth. It's bound to, but I do feel that the Amiga version could be much more like this. You know, it is absolutely possible to create graphics like this. Oh, damn! Forgot about that happening. So there are. Sorry, I was playing this as if it was exactly the same as the first stage, but of course it's not. Also, the difficulty in this stage, in theory, is higher than the first stage on the NES because this is much later in the Super Castlevania IV. But I do tend to find that Super Castlevania IV, whilst not a complete walk in the park, is generally... forgot to get the holy water again. Of which I don't think it is the best weapon in this version. I'd put the boomerang or the holy cross at that point. Oh. I'm not actually playing this very well. I think the Amiga version has done for me. I can blame most things on that version because it was an atrocity, wasn't it? Ah, come on, Vix. But yeah, there is no reason to that, you know, done right, you could do something that looks just as nice as this and plays just as well. You might not have all the parallax that the SNES pulls off, but if you nod and go along with everything, then before you know it, you've got no headphone jack on your phone. That's very true. The floating touch is a bit odd in this version. Made more sense to the other versions. Yeah. So this is obviously the Super Nintendo's Mode 7 being put to good use. I've got to time these jumps just about right. Now I might get this completely wrong here. Oh, we're okay. So you just basically got to do it with the swing of the chandelier. And you can control your jumps to some extent in this version, so... Ooh, that was a bit risky. So yeah, but yeah, this is Mode 7 being put to good use. You just got to be careful that you don't jump too far when... So, at least I illustrated that you can change your jump direction in this version. I was just about to say I think I'm getting a bit more of a feel for the controls again, but that little segment there would suggest otherwise. You're lurking, are you, Dave? No worries, you continue your lurk. Hope you're well, Dave, anyway, so... Shame I couldn't get the tabby working, but I haven't had a chance to try it on another Amiga yet, but there'll be somebody out there who can get it working, I'm sure. Maybe I'm doing something really wrong with it, but... I'm not sure when you joined us, Dave, but I'm sure you'd have heard me... Oh! Really? I thought I was getting a feel for the controls there, and I really stuffed up that go, didn't I? Come on, doggy. But yeah, this is one of my all-time favourite games, I would say. So it's hard to decide whether I like the first Castlevania on the NES over this one. I'd say I probably do prefer this version. There's just a bit more variety in the gameplay, and got it. But the thing is that you get so used to die. Oh, that was close. You can't get me, but you can. Oh. Could be dead again in a minute. Again, you've got the same mechanic here that you have to use diagonal to go up the stairs, but at least it's fairly intuitive here. And of course you can fall down those stairs as well, so... You've been here... Oh, night, Dasley. Thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed it, so... Love the scan lines on this puppy. It's giving you nice warm feelings. I know the feeling. Ooh. Oh, that was close. But yeah. So I'm going to be wrapping up the stream soonish, guys. Probably going to play for probably about another 15 minutes or so. But if you don't mind dropping a like or a nice comment in the stream, that would be always most appreciated. Not to massage my ego, but other people might be encouraged to watch the stream or at least tune in the future. So yeah, obviously tomorrow is going to be Chrono Trigger Tuesday, so we'll be returning to playthrough part 8 of Chrono Trigger, which is very exciting. And where have we got to in Chrono Trigger? Oh yes, we just defeated Azala, hadn't we, after our rather frustrating playthrough last time, where I completely stuffed up the way through the Nitspell or whatever that monster's name was. So oh yes, we got to the is it, oh, I forget the name of the village now, but the hidden village. We need to oh no, we've done that bit. That's what... Where did we get to then? I've forgotten. Maybe we had just defeated Nitspell and that was it. I forget now. Oh well. So just got to be careful of these chandeliers up there. But yeah, Chrono Trigger Tuesday tomorrow night, 8:30 as usual. That's 8:30 PM BST, by the way. That'll be 7:30 PM UTC. So yeah, and also got some exciting news on the way, because I'll be starting my Patreon soon, which oh, sorry, damn, I'm still using the controls as if it's the NES version. I forget that the secondary weapons on L2, not L2, the R button. Why did I say L2? It's because I'm talking and not really thinking, I think. So yeah, going to be starting the Patreon soon, which is just going to help maybe add a few pennies into the coffers each month, just to allow me to spend more time in the future doing more pixel art videos and the likes, which will be exciting. And the likes, I'm not expecting to make a bundle of money from it, but it would all help. So yeah, you want to get rid of those things because they are a little bit problematic. As is Roy Walker there. Castlevania's very own Roy Walker. Say what you see. I think you probably have to be in the UK to get that one. And I don't think you even have to be in the UK to get it. I think you just have to be a bit weird. Oh, damn, I forgot those spikes are there. You've got to be careful, so... Have I continued what I'll play when I finish it, asked Rob? Well, that's a very good question. What will I play? Actually, just for completeness, I'll just start this from the beginning of the game, so at least you get to see the start of the game. Yeah, it is an expensive game, this one. I would highly recommend that if you want to play it, of picking up a Super Nintendo Classic. That's like the little mini one that they did. I love how they've reimagined the introduction. No, that is pixel art, guys. That is pixel art there, as far as I'm concerned. So this is how Super Castlevania IV starts, but as Dave says, to buy the original cartridges is a wee bit expensive. I do prefer box games just because they store a bit nicer, but it does have to be said that there is no reason to solely look for the box copies on this one, because it's such a pick up and play title that you're not going to need to use a manual for this one, let's be honest. But I love the music in this game. There it is. And this little mechanic here where you go behind the scene always confused me to start with. I don't think there's anything actually back here, so I'm not sure why. Maybe it took me a few seconds to get used to it, but yeah, this is how Super Castlevania IV starts, at least. So it's definitely worth getting all these little power-ups and bits and bobs. So what will I play next? That's a really good question. Will I play a JRPG or... because obviously that's what we're playing through now, or will we play through something else? I mean, it might be nice to play something a little bit more action-orientated, maybe. You know, maybe play through the whole of Super Castlevania IV or something like that. Like we're obviously sampling a little... Come on, die. Sampling a little bit of it here, but that could be quite cool, couldn't it? So I'll clear the screen. So, yeah, there's lots of ideas, I suppose. But what could I play next? I mean, the chances are I would play another JRPG. Maybe something I've not played yet. as that's always fun, isn't it? To be exploring a new game together. Or I could play another classic. I've always wanted to, and I've not managed to do it yet, but I wanted to play through Seiken Densetsu 3 or Secret of Mana 2 as it's sometimes referred to in the West. So yeah. No judging, he's rock steady. You're absolutely right there, Rod. So even with all the parallax, it's judged exactly right. Yeah, absolutely. You do get a bit of that Super Nintendo slowdown on some of the later stages with all their graphical wizardry, but oh, I've obviously picked up the axe at some point. That's a pain. But yeah, this is a playable game, I would say. There's just no question about that. Just everything about it is just judged perfectly. So obviously picked up the knife now as well. Basically doing well for picking up all of the items that I'm not making the best use of. Something new to me. Okay, so I'm gonna look into that. So I mean, it might be a game that I've started but never finished. So yeah, I think Chrono Trigger was quite a good one to start with because I am very familiar with that game, and I like how they, right here, they've placed this little loop here. Even though you don't need it at this stage, it just helps you get used to that mechanic because you will need it soon. Oh, these damn bats. Like, for example, here. I like also how you can be right on top of the candles in this version and you can actually get them. Fancy that, huh? Another point chalked up for the SNES version here, so but yeah, this is just vastly superior to that. It's quite helpful. Yay. Right, we'll try and keep hold of the knife now then. Well, we'll try to anyway. Also quite neat is when you actually do get the skeletons, the bones that they throw at you, they're actually cancelled out the minute that you actually kill the skeleton. Ah, missed it. I could go back and but I shan't. Oh, I got the free power up, even better. I'm gonna let that pass me by. Oh shit, I forgot about those. Come on, wobbly things or chandeliers or whatever you are. Do with a bit of wall meat right now, so pork chop would be nice. Don't miss those horses there, they're a bit sneaky, slightly hidden in the background there, so they will get you. They're like the Medusa heads for the new generation, so just don't want to die at this stage because I've got some excellent power-ups at the moment. Oh man. Okay. So yeah, something new. I was thinking maybe something like Alundra would be quite cool because I have started playing it, but I never finished it. So so it might be quite cool to play something like that, which is fantastic 2D puzzler. It's a bit like an RPG in some respects, but die. So that could be quite a good one. Oh, I thought they were going to force me down there, but they haven't, so that's cool. Oh, time thing. I'm basically just picking up all the power-ups going in this particular playthrough, aren't I? Ooh. Ooh. I hate those Medusa heads. They're a little bit more achievable to get in this version because obviously you can use your whip in pretty much 8 directions, so which is nice. But you'll see a lot of the same repeated enemies, like these little ghost things that we saw on stage 3 of I love how they just put that heart there as if, come and get me, and it expects you to jump on it and lose your life, so. Oh. Didn't expect it to do that, actually. Okay. That's what you do to that. Okay, boss fight time. Oh, I'm not doing very well here, am I? That was terrible. Yum, wall meat. Yeah, absolutely. Get the chandelier, is it? Or, it's not a chandelier, but it looks like one, doesn't it? It is obviously the whip power-up, but yeah, it does look a bit like a chandelier to me sometimes. But yeah, wall meat, yum. There we go. Yeah, that's better. You dealt with. Right, come on. Yeah, there you go. That's how it's done. Right. Yeah! Got my whip action there. How's about that? That's a nice little sprite there, so there we go. That's Castlevania 4 ways. So let's just flip back to the main screen here with full screen webcam. I think I muted the wrong microphone there, so there we go. Hopefully you can all hear me fine. So yes, that's Castlevania Poser, says Error42. Well, why not, eh? So Yeah, so that's Castlevania 4 Waves. So what would be my favourite version out of those four? Well, I think right up there has to be the Amiga with a truly appalling version. Yeah, that's a staggeringly bad port, isn't it? When I first tried it a few weeks ago, I really wanted it to be good, but it just isn't, is it? It's just dreadful. It really is. So so you have that, and then what else did we look at? Obviously, looked at the C64 version, which by comparison to the Amiga version is not too bad. Still not great though, it has to be said. But that's just I don't know, but by comparison. But otherwise, the NES original remains the best version of out of those three. Obviously, Super Castlevania 4 is a reimagining, so it's kind of like a sort of a reworked version, an enhanced version of the first game. So so it's hard to say whether that's you know, like you can compare like with like there. But otherwise, get yourself a NES Classic if you've not got the NES, and Castlevania's on there. And you've also got Castlevania's available on the Game Boy Advance, so you can get it on NES Classics. It is going up in price a bit though, I've noticed. I seem to think that it might set you back maybe about £30 boxed or so, but yeah, so, but it's a very faithful port of it. And the other bonus of the version on the GBA, which I do have, I'll just get the box set actually. There you are. So that's basically the NES Classics version that you get for the Game Boy Advance, and I'm actually playing through it at the moment. I'm definitely on a bit of a Castlevania trip at the moment, but yeah, thankfully my copy's been kept super nice. So, ooh, my Final Fantasy 4 cartridge in there. Better look after that. Didn't realise that was in there. But yeah, so it just comes with all the usual inserts and stuff. Got a cool little poster of sorts or something in there. I think it's a poster. Or is it just... No, it's just an advertisement for Club Nintendo, isn't it? Or something. Oh no, it's an advert for the brand new Nintendo DS. So, because this came out quite late, so I thought it was a poster. But yeah, but that's quite a good version to get. And the bonuses over the NES version is that you can save. So that's quite nice. So yeah, so it's definitely worth picking up, but the NES Classic is probably your best bet, I would say, because obviously you get many other brilliant games there, like obviously you get the very first 2 Zelda games on there. You've got obviously the 3 Super Mario Worlds and the first Final Fantasy and so forth. So yeah, so I think the Amiga version wins that one. But only if we're talking about the one that's the worst. Yeah, so do leave your thoughts in the comments below of what version you enjoyed most, perhaps, or like I say, if you're able to leave me a little thumbs up or just a little comment about the stream, that would obviously be greatly appreciated. So I hope you've enjoyed this evening's stream. I'm glad that we got all 4 systems working. I was a bit worried about the C64 version working for a minute, but we got there, and oh, you get a balloon fight. That's correct, Rob. Balloon fight is one of my favourites. I love that. So it's so addictive and simple. But if I go to a Play Expo and they've got a copy of Balloon Fight on an NES there, you can guarantee I'll be playing it at some point. So, but yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this evening's stream, guys. Don't forget, tomorrow is Chrono Trigger Tuesday, as I say. So 8:30 PM BST or 7:30 PM UTC. Link will be on my Twitter, which is just at the top of the stream window there. Yeah, there'll be a pixel art stream at some point this week, which will just be working through the Misato character that we started work on a couple of weeks ago, and there'll be a few other bits that'll be popping out this week as well, mostly surrounded about me going on to Patreon or something like that. So thank you so much, guys. It's been a real pleasure to share this with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. So yeah, the Sharp X68000 is meant to be very good, isn't it, Ian? Although I do believe it's not as good as the original though, so, but that might be many hours with it and lives, and yeah, with the same at Play Expos with it. That's brilliant to hear, Rob. That's what gaming's all about, isn't it? So good innocent fun sometimes. So yeah, thank you everybody. It's been a pleasure to share it with you. Thank you for your lovely company as always. And all that remains for me to say is see you soon. Peace.